all of your favorite recipes.
Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food.
Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Simply Food by TY, and today I'm going to teach you guys one of my favorite Italian dishes, and that is none other than arancini, which are pretty much Italian fried rice balls, okay? So let's jump right into this recipe because there's a lot we got to get covered, so let's get to it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is we are going to start cooking off the meat. Now, this is one of those type of recipes where both the meat and the rice should be cooked the day before. If you want to prepare this on the same day, that's totally fine. You can do so. You just need to make sure that you leave a couple of hours in between so that both the meat and the risotto can properly cool off. It must be cold in order for this recipe to work. So just know, if you do want to make this, give yourself some time because you don't want to rush that process because it is very, very important. It might seem like there are a lot of steps to this. It really isn't. They are extremely easy to make, but there's a few key steps that we must take in order to make sure that we have the perfect, and I mean the most perfect, arancini, okay? So I am chopping up I would say about a medium sweet onion, and I also had about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic, and you want to really, really mince that down, okay? We don't want to leave any big chunks in this because this is all going to go into the filling. What we're working on right now is the filling itself. So we're going to head over to the stove and we're going to go ahead and start to, just get a little bit of color to them. We're not trying to fry them. You don't really have to cook them for too long. I would say no more than maybe a minute or so. Just get them moving around in that pan, start to get them a little bit translucent. And then we're going to go ahead and start to add in the meat. Now for my arancini, I'm going to be stuffing mine with the meat filling with ground beef as well as mild Italian sausage and peas. Okay, now you can also use veal if you would like. Some people fill theirs with vegetables. Some people fill theirs with just cheese. That part will be totally up to you. For right now, we're just going to add in some kosher salt. We're also going to add in some freshly ground black pepper. And we're also going to add in some Italian seasoning. For the Italian seasoning, I would say I added in roughly about a half a tablespoon worth. You want to make sure that you are really, really mincing this down because you want these pieces of ground beef to be nice and fine. Now, if you would like to have a little bit of a kick to yours, you can add in some crushed red pepper flakes like I did, and I'm also going to add in some garlic powder and onion powder as well. Now, of course, you can taste that as you're going along to see if you would like to add any additional seasonings, but be mindful of how much salt you're going to add because you will be adding in some Parmigiano Reggiano later on, and that has a lot of salt in it. Once your ground beef is nice and cooked up, fully cooked off, you're going to add in roughly about a half a cup to 1 cup of chopped tomatoes. As you guys can see, I used the palmy, and I'm also going to be adding in roughly about a half a cup to 1 cup of peas. You can add in more, you can add in less. That's completely up to you. Now, it's going to seem as if this meat mixture is really dry, but trust me, it is not. Do not go overboard with adding in too many chopped tomatoes. If you do, what's going to happen is when it's time to make the stuff your arancini, your meat is going to be way too loose, and you don't want that. You want it to have the flavor of the tomatoes, but you don't want this to be runny and loose. If so, your arancini is going to fall apart and it's going to spill out on the sides, and you don't want that. You're going to allow that to cook, and then once it's done, wrap it up, put it in the fridge. You are now done with the filling. It's just that simple. Now let's talk about the risotto, okay? Now this is where things kind of get a little bit complicated, but trust me, you'll be fine. In the stock pot, I have 6 cups of water. I'm adding in about 1.5 tablespoons of the Better Than Bouillon chicken base. You're gonna allow this to come up to a boil. Once it comes into a boil and you can see it's completely mixed in, you can turn that off and set that to the side. That's all you have to do to that. You don't have to do anything else. Now we're going to start to prep the veggies for the risotto itself. I have about a medium-sized shallot here. If you don't like shallots, you can use onions, but I prefer shallots in this particular recipe. I just feel like it, elevates the entire dish. Now, this is very important that you mince this up as best as you possibly can, because this is going to be getting mixed inside of the risotto itself, and you don't want to be chomping down on big chunks of onions or shallots or garlic. You really want it to be there for the flavor, but you don't want it to be the star of the show. You shouldn't really be able to see that it's in there, but you definitely want to taste it, okay? So just make sure that you mince that up completely, and then we're ready to go back over to the stove so that we can begin to cook. Now, it is really important that you guys make sure that you're cooking this in a pan with high sides. You got to make sure that your risotto is going to have enough space to grow and move around and do everything it needs to do. If not, it's going to come out gluey and mushy and nasty, and it's not going to come out right, okay? Now, this is my favorite brand of risotto that I like to use, the Italian style rice. I'm going to be adding in 1.5 cups of that. Now, what we're doing right now is we are simply toasting the rice. You're only going to do this for roughly about 1 minute to 2 minutes. Make sure your temperature is not too high for any stage of this cooking of the risotto, okay? It should be on about a medium low, no more than that. Nothing should be really rapidly boiling or anything like that, okay? So this is where I really need you guys to pay attention and really follow direction. So what you're going to do is you're going to add in 1 cup of white wine. You are going to allow this to cook for as long as it needs to until the white wine has really dissolved and has really soaked into that rice. When you are making your risotto, it is not the time to be trying to do other things. You want to keep an eye on it at all times. As you can see, it has soaked it up beautifully. What you need to do now, the chicken broth that you had sitting to the side, over the next 30 minutes, okay, about 25 to 30 minutes, you will be gradually adding in 1 to 2 ladlefuls of the chicken stock. As it dissolves, you will continue to add in more, and you will just keep repeating that process. That is the key to making sure that you end up with a creamy risotto, okay? You don't want it to be tough, and you don't want it to overcook. Allow it to take all the time that it needs in order for it to cook properly, okay? If you add in all of the liquid at once, it will not work. This is not like your standard rice where you just put it all in the pot and walk away. You need to make sure that you stay there, keep that temperature on about a medium low, make sure that you're mixing it, from time to time, and just keep adding in those 1 to 2 ladlefuls of chicken stock at a time. And as you can see, what's going to happen is it's going to start to expand and the texture is going to change, okay? This is also the reason why it's so important that you have a pan that is, spacious enough, and it's also have high enough sides so that the rice can grow and move and expand and do everything that it needs to do properly, so that you don't end up with gummy and slimy rice, okay? You don't want that. So once you do that, as you can see, now we're at about the 25-minute mark. This is almost about 25 to 30 minutes. As you can see, it is coming back into each other just perfectly. You want to give it a taste for texture at this point, not for flavoring more so, but for texture. You want it to be almost about al dente. You do not want to overcook this, okay? Because we are going to be frying this the next day, okay? So don't feel like you need to completely overcook it and pulverize it. And honestly, even if you wanted to eat the the risotto just like this, as a side dish, which you absolutely could, you still don't want it to be more than al dente, in my opinion. I'm going to be adding in about 1/2 cup of some fresh parsley. Now that our risotto is done at about that 25 to 30 minute mark, you want to remove it from the heat. Do not leave it on the heat. It is going to overcook. As it cools down, it is going to thicken up beautifully and become nice and creamy. I've added in about 4 tablespoons of butter, and I'm also adding in the king of all cheeses, the Parmigiano Reggiano. Don't be shy with that, okay? Add in as much as you would like. Just know that that's going to add a lot of saltiness as well. Also, we're going to add in some freshly ground black pepper. And once again, you can add in a pinch of kosher salt, and then you just want to give it a taste just to see if, it's exactly the way you want it to be. But you guys, do you see how beautifully creamy that is? I mean, if you aren't making arancini and you just would like a beautiful bowl of risotto, this is the perfect way to make it. And this is a great base because once you learn how to make it this way, you can add a bunch of other fun stuff to it and, you know, really expand on it. I'm telling you guys, this is bomb. So what you want to do now that it's done, allow it to cool off a bit, put it in the fridge the next day. So here we are, you guys. We're in the home stretch, y'all. Just stick with me. Everything has been properly chilled at this point. Both the rice and the meat were in the fridge. We're at the next day. As you can see, I have my dredging station in the back with the flour, egg, and Italian breadcrumbs. And in the middle there, we have our cubed fresh mozzarella cheese. Now, I'm using a half a cup measuring cup to measure out the risotto here because I'm actually going to be making them entree size because I'm going to use this as an actual meal. Now, you can absolutely make these far smaller than what I'm going to be doing and serve them as an appetizer, and that's totally fine. You're going to put in 1 little cube of the mozzarella cheese, as well as a little pinch of the ground meat mixture. And as you can see, this is the reason why it's so important that everything be extremely cold. It's going to make it way more malleable to get these into the balls you want and not have to worry about it completely falling apart and, you know, the cheese melting out on the side. I'm telling you, this is the key to making them as easy as possible. And you just roll it up. And as you can see, everything is nicely enclosed, okay? So I'm going to do this and repeat this process over and over and over. I'm only going to make about 4 because it's just me here. But like I said, you know, you can definitely make these smaller. You can make them bigger because you can probably get anywhere, I would say, honestly, between like 15 to 20 of them, especially if you're making them smaller. So we dipped it in our flour. Now we're putting it in our egg mixture. Then we're going to put it into the breadcrumbs. Now what you want to do is you want to repeat that process to all of them. And then you're going to put it in the fridge and let it rest for about 30 minutes. Again, this is the reason why, you know, the colder the better. It's just going to make the frying process so much easier. So like I said, I'm only going to be making 4 of them, and I made pretty nice sized ones. I'm going to put that in the fridge for about 30 minutes. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to allow my vegetable oil to get nice and hot. I have it at about 340 degrees Fahrenheit, I think I got it at, which is going to make sure that they are going to be fully cooked on the inside, but beautifully golden brown on the outside. Now, once you put those in, they really won't need to be in there for more than, I would say, 2 to 3 minutes, honestly. But, you know, just keep an eye on it. At this point, you're just heating everything through and getting it nice and golden brown because, of course, everything is fully cooked. But I want you guys to see this. I want you guys to look and notice how beautifully brown those are. I mean, they're cooked to perfection, okay? I mean, they're honestly one of my all-time favorite Italian dishes. I used to make these all the time. So now we're just gonna plate it up. I'm serving mine with some marinara sauce here. You can also do it with like some really good like Alfredo sauce. You know, there's a lot of different things you can dip it in. I'm gonna have some, you know, Italian parsley on the plate, you know, of course, for decorations. But then, of course, you gotta go in one more time with the king of all cheeses, that Parmigiano Reggiano, and just top it off. And that's it, you guys. Look, I know it might have seemed like there was a lot going on in this video, but I promise you, it really is not that hard to make them. They're so easy, and the payoff will be everything. Wait till you open it up. Let's see. Oh my God. Lord, they're everything. Look, if you're new to my channel, I hope you guys enjoy this video. And as always, y'all babies, stay cute and take care. Bye, guys.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed it.
Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Simply